Hello, it's Gill Fielding here, and this is what's caught my eye in the media this week, and it's mainly property related because there's been a lot of articles and media coverage about the end of the stamp duty holiday and how that was going to cause a crash in the property market and so on. So there were lots of scaremongering headlines as usual as the stamp duty holiday came to its end, or at least the first part of its end at the end of June. Well, figures out this week show that that crash never happened, but there are some very interesting underlying trends to what's happened to house prices. So between the end of June and the end of July, we found out that property prices in the south broadly have continued to rise, while those in the north have started to drop down a little. Overall, across the country, they've been more or less stagnant with a slight rise. So property prices keep on moving up. What is interesting, as well as this north-south divide, is the difference in type of property. So properties that have got 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms have continued to rise. Those properties that have got more than 4 bedrooms have started to fall by about 0.8%. And that's obviously because as people go back into the office, they no longer need that 5th bedroom in order to create an office to work from home. So understandable trends. Property market has continued to rise. There's not been this dramatic fall off a cliff that people were predicting, and that's because demand is so high. And the demand is also high for rental properties. And I've been reading some horrendous stories this week about people chasing potential rental properties. We currently only have about 3.5% of our rental housing stock available to rent. And that drops to as low as 1.5% if you get to high demand areas like the southwest. And people are doing all sorts in order to get a rental property. They're offering a year's rent in advance. They're offering on properties before they've even seen them. Properties are being rented before they get onto websites. You know, people are just offering way over the asking rents. And of course, some landlords would take advantage of that. Specifically, I read that in Oxford, there are 22 potential tenants chasing every single property. So for sure, there is an excess of demand in the rental market at the moment. But I do expect that will ease. As we're coming out of lockdown, more people will put their properties on the market to sell. So some people who are renting because they can't buy will now be able to buy, and that will ease up some rental properties. So I do expect the situation will ease a little in the coming months. But for those poor people desperate to find somewhere to rent at the moment, my heart goes out to them, because that's a really, really tough ask. Hundreds of people chasing 1 or 2 properties and having to pay way over the odds in order to get it. Well, I'm delighted to say that the leather trousers are back, and the leather trousers belong to Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen. And I was a fan of the Changing Rooms programme when it was first shown 15, 20 years ago. He's always been a bit of a character, and I've always enjoyed watching the programme, not because I want to decorate my house in peacock blue or whatever colour he used this week as he returned to the programme, but because it's interesting to see what trends and fads are popular out there in the marketplace. Because normal people, residential purchasers, watch these programmes and think, oh, that pink was lovely, and that then becomes a fashionable trend that we decorate in pink. And as a property investor, I need to know what the latest trends and fads and bangles are, because my properties need to keep up with current trends. So I love watching programs like Changing Rooms, and I'm delighted to see it back this week. It's as crazy as it ever was 15 years ago. But people will watch it and think, that looks nice, I'll have a go. So I expect to see more colours, dominantly in rental properties, for example, as people follow those trends. And as another tip, watch the programs and get the idea about the current trends. Also go around new build properties, go around the show homes, because that will also show you what the current trends are in terms of decoration and standards and chrome or brass or whatever it may be. So love the leather trousers. Glad to see you still wearing them. Glad to see it's as crazy as ever it was, but it gives me vital research and intelligence for my property investing portfolio. And then I wanted to say how great it is that we're all now starting to recycle. I have recycling bins of different colours that go out at different times of the week, and I'm delighted to be able to do it. And when I was a child, we didn't even know what recycling was. So I think we've come a long way in terms of environmental awareness, recycling, sustainability, and I'm delighted to see that. And I hope that continues to grow, and eventually we recycle everything. And I know the younger generation, my children, are incredibly environmentally conscious, sustainability conscious, and they're careful about everything they use. So it will be nice when we can reuse everything, even a jumbo jet. I read this week that there's a team of people that are responsible for recycling all the parts of an aeroplane. Apparently there's about 5,500 aeroplanes in storage in hangars somewhere, and that's about 25% of the available stock of aircraft that's in the world. And a lot of those are in storage because they've had to stop flying because of the pandemic and so on. And some of them will be recommissioned and go back into flight at some stage. But there's an awful lot of them that will just never be used again. And there's a magnificent team of people that take a jet and dismantle it, split it into its spare parts, and make sure that all the parts are reusable somewhere else. Now, I think that's amazing. Apparently, the only thing that they can't really cycle is the internal cabins. But all the jets and the mechanical bits and pieces all get recycled and used elsewhere. And I think that's a fantastic trend. If we can even recycle a jet, I'm pretty happy with that. But let's keep it up. Let's recycle everything. Won't that be a wonderful world when we get to that position? I'll see you again next week.